Hey y'all, welcome back to Faith Between the Pages, the podcast where we look at books through the lens of Scripture. My name is Tona, and if you're new here, I'm a 40-year-old wife, mother, sister, daughter, friend, and most importantly, a sinner saved by God's amazing grace. On this show, we dive into nonfiction Christian books, Bible studies, biographies, and real-life experiences to give you a complete, honest, and filter-free review. Our rule here is simple. The Bible is the ultimate authority in our lives, and if a book doesn't align with Scripture, I'm going to tell you, and we're going to move along quickly. My goal is to help spark your interest in a great new read or steer you away from something that's just kind of ugh, so we can all hopefully keep growing in our faith together. Thanks for hanging out with me. Now let's jump right into today's lineup. Hey y'all, welcome to episode 1 of Faith Between the Pages. I am so glad you're here today. If you're a friend of mine and I sent you this link directly, thank you for listening. I'm so excited for this first episode. I want to give you a quick formula of how we'll be looking at books on the show. First, we'll look at the author, their religious background, their life views, and if there's any noteworthy controversy or notoriety attached to them. I'll be saying she and her a lot today because all three of our featured authors are women. After the author profile, we'll dive right into the book itself. We'll look at the overall theme, the length, writing style, copyright date, what I liked, what I didn't like, and whether I'd recommend it or even reread it myself. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into our very first book. So our first book is by Wendy Speake, and it's called The 40-Day Social Media Fast. Wendy is a non-denominational Christian who has written 6 standalone books and 1 collaborative project. Fun fact about her, she actually used to be an actress in Hollywood and even had a couple small roles on Melrose Place and Star Trek. Today she is pretty much in full-time ministry with her husband, focusing primarily on writing and speaking events. I didn't find any real controversies attached to her. So really here, there are no real red flags. The book, obviously by its title, is a 40-day fast. It's structured as a daily reader. Each day is a quick 5 to 10 minute read, so it isn't a heavy time commitment. The core goal is for you to step away from your online presence, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, or gaming. And honestly, it's about pausing anything connected to a screen that is consuming your time. As it goes day by day, the book focuses heavily on areas that apply directly to women and mothers. Now, I know sometimes it's a little scary to think about fasting and stepping away completely from something, but with this book, it's not so much about taking away, it's about trading. The author is excellent at making sure this process doesn't feel like a loss. You may be losing screen time, but you're gaining more time with God and investing in real-world relationships with people that are going to be a lot more fruitful. Her writing style is incredibly conversational. It's practical, it's real, it never feels overbearing or judgmental. And honestly, it feels like you're just talking to your friend. Some of the tips and goals she gives might seem a little intimidating at first, but she's really not asking you to become a Mother Teresa or Martha Stewart. These are very attainable shifts in focus. Even if you don't want to step away from social media completely, this book is still a really good read because it opens your eyes to exactly how much time you're probably losing that you had no idea. I had so many little light bulb moments like, aha, while reading it. It gave me sort of like permission not to have to do the constant Facebook check-ins. Like I'm not feeling the need to have to constantly like my friends' posts or comment on certain things or chase after likes. It really made me realize that doing those things doesn't make me a good friend or a good mother, and that there are better ways to invest my time into people. I really enjoyed the book, and I'm going to keep it on my rotation for sure. It's something I'll probably do once a year or so just to kind of put myself back in check. I'm going to highly suggest this one to my friends. It's an easy, feel-good read that encourages small changes that make a big difference. And so it's absolutely going to get a big thumbs up for me. So let's swing right into book number 2. And this is an interesting book that shines a light on spiritual warfare from a very unique point of view. It's called Sincerely Stoneheart by Emily Wilson Hussam, which is spelled Hussem, because I'm probably saying this wrong. So I'm sorry about that. Emily has written 7 standalone books and has spent a decade as a teacher and content creator. An interesting detail about her and her husband is that they actually created a Catholic dating app called Sacred Spark. Because she is Catholic, our doctrine is going to be a little different in certain areas, but I didn't find any major red flags while reading this book. It comes in at 240 pages, and it's about a 5.5-hour read. If you've ever read C.S. Lewis's The Screwtape Letters, then this is going to feel real familiar to you. The book is written entirely from the perspective of a head demon named Stoneheart, who is getting a promotion and training her replacement, Belphagoria. In this writing style, human beings are referred to as the subject, and the premise is that a demon is assigned to us at birth, and the chapters are broken into letters detailing the specific tactics and tools the enemy uses to pretty much distract, derail, and cause conflict in our lives. So essentially, senior demon teaching a trainee how to keep us miserable and distant from God. And what's interesting is it focuses heavily on modern issues like social media, children, femininity, and it's super relatable for me and the women I know. And gaining that insight into the enemy's potential tactics was really eye-opening and kind of a gift, because it forces you to focus on who the true enemy is rather getting caught up in petty day-to-day distractions. Now, I did run into a few personal hurdles with it. First, it was a bit tough to listen to as an audiobook and kind of hard to follow. We actually did this one in our Bible study group at church, and the consensus among the other women was that reading a physical copy or even an ebook was much easier than listening to it on Audible or a similar platform. The second hurdle for me is just a personal preference. So when I study theology or do a Bible study, I like things to be black and white and very fact-based. And because this is written from a demon's point of view, it can feel fiction-y to me. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a style preference, honestly, for me. Ultimately, I would recommend this to friends as a great value add because it's full of insights you can really glean from. I probably won't reread it, but it's just personally because it's not my favorite type of writing style. But I'm going to go ahead and give it another thumbs up. So book number 3 and our last book for today is None Like Him by Jen Wilkin. This one again is relatively short, just 176 pages. It takes about 3.5 to 4 hours to get through, and it was published back in 2016, so it's been out for 10 years. Even so, it doesn't feel dated to me at all. Now, I really like Jen Wilkin, but if you look her up online, you might find a bit of internet controversy. Some critics claim she wants women to be pastors, but I've seen her on different quotes saying explicitly and stated that that's not what she wants. And she holds the standards that are complementary to most views on church leadership. She is also she's pro public schools. I homeschool my kids, so she and I do not agree on that point. But most of the controversy I see surrounding her is about personal conviction and not necessarily biblical commandment. At the end of the day, there are no huge red flags for me regarding her core doctrine. If you dig hard enough online, you can find a complaint about almost anyone. From everything I've gathered, she is not a false prophet. She isn't teaching anything unscriptural or just outrageous. I've read several of her books and I really enjoy her work, but I want to give you guys the full context up front so you can do your own digging and decide for yourself. When we dive into None Like Him, the book explores 10 attributes or characteristics of God that belong to Him alone. Each of the 10 chapters focuses on a single trait, like God being infinite and self-sufficient or eternal or unchangeable. The very first chapter covers the fact that God is infinite. It breaks down why God is limitless, how we humans constantly try to force ourselves to be limitless, and how we fail miserably at that. But she shows us that it's actually okay to fail at being limitless, and she teaches us how to just kind of step back and let God be God, which is the overarching theme of the whole book. Jen is incredibly focused on Scripture, and she anchors her points directly in the Bible. You're going to get a ton of deep theology here, but she writes it in a way that is highly accessible and easy to understand while even being packed with humor. During the reading, at times it was very convicting for me and very straightforward. So she does not water down anything. You're going to learn a lot if you can sit down and really focus on the reading. Keep in mind that this book requires a bit of a commitment only because there are study questions at the end of each chapter that you can use for self-reflection or even in a small group discussion. There's going to be scriptures, passages to research, and because of that, it feels much more like an intentional Bible study than just like a light, easy read. The introduction can start out just a little bit slow, but once you push through those first couple of chapters, the pace really picks up and you kind of get into a rhythm. I've read this book a couple times now. I absolutely love the practical knowledge it offers, and I'm going to absolutely recommend it to you guys, and I'm going to give it a big thumbs up. Well, that wraps up another episode of Faith Between the Pages. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. If this episode was a blessing, please share the link with a book-loving friend, hit subscribe. It really helps get the word out more than you know. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Invest your time into what matters most. Keep turning pages, but remember, stay anchored in His Word. Bye, y'all.